Told y'all I wasn't gonna miss another prediction video. I'm back. Let's get on with the predictions. So yeah, welcome to the tailgate. The season's flying by, man. Only 3 weeks left. I really hope we get some madness because I would love to see just everything fall apart. All for it. We got a lot of good games, a lot of highly ranked matchups, and a lot of games that can decide some conference championship stuff, in my opinion. So let's get on with it. Today we have 8 to 9 games, but I think it's gonna be 8 games. Let's get on with it. Starting off first with a big game, top 10 matchup between Michigan and Penn State. Oh man. So I've been doubting Michigan all season. I have them ranked 4th in my polls, and this is a game to prove to me just how good they are. Are they better than Florida State in my opinion? This game proves it to me. Looking at Michigan, their team is loaded. They haven't played a bad game all season, but they haven't played a great team all season yet. Penn State's been playing really good except for their one game against Ohio State. So their one game against a good team, they didn't play that well. I watched the whole game when it happened, and Drew Aller, who's a big part of Penn State's offense, just didn't play that great. Michigan, however, has a lot. Mainly J.J. McCarthy and Blake Corum, who has 16 touchdowns right now, which is stupid. Of course, Michigan's defense is #1 in the country. They're the only team that still allows less than 10 points a game as of right now, which is crazy. And I'm judging this game based on how Penn State played against Ohio State. They didn't play that good, and I feel like Michigan's going to do the same. But I think Michigan will score more points because Michigan's offense is better than Ohio State's in my opinion. So to me, I think the final score of this game will be Michigan winning 34-17. I just don't think Penn State can really handle Michigan like they could with Ohio State. And they didn't really handle Ohio State either. The next game I'm looking at is Washington versus Utah. Washington played a really good game against USC on offense, however defense not so much. Utah has a good defense, but their offense is just alright. They played really good last week against Arizona State, but does that carry over playing against the best team in the Pac-12? I don't know. The big issue with Utah, in my opinion, though, is just that struggling offense. While yes, they do have a good running back in Jaquindon Jackson, that's not going to be enough, in my opinion, to match Washington's offense that has Penix, who I think is a Heisman frontrunner right now, Dylan Johnson, who just had a big game, and then Rome Odunze, who is a baller for Washington. Utah has a really good defense, of course. Cole Bishop has been really good for them at safety, and they have a bunch of other guys in the box and on the front that's been really clutch for Utah. But I don't think it'll be enough to where their offense can win that game. And that's what I think is going to hold Utah back. It's just their offense not being as potent as it really could be. So I think Washington will take advantage of that. And to me, I think Washington will win this game 41-31. The third game I'm looking at is an SEC West battle as we have Missouri versus Tennessee. This game is big for Tennessee as if they want any chance to make the SEC championship game, which they still can. They not only need a lot of luck from Georgia to lose their last 2 games, but Tennessee needs to win this game to have a chance. Tennessee's defense is pretty solid and their offense is pretty good, led by a pretty good backfield, led by Jalen Wright and of course Joe Milton. However, for Missouri, their offense is better in my opinion. Brady Cook has been really good, Cole Schrader has been amazing, and Luther Burton is in the Blitnikoff talks. So just those 3 make their offense insane, plus a bunch of other players. Their defense isn't as good as Tennessee's, but I think it's enough that it can match that effort of Tennessee's offense and defense combined. Missouri is playing at home, and with them just losing to Georgia, I know they're angry, and I know they're looking to get a win. And I think just with them being at home, I think they are going to be the better team here. So I think Tennessee's championship hopes are done with this game, as I think Missouri will win 34-28. The next game for me that's interesting is Oklahoma versus West Virginia. West Virginia is having a surprising season where they're 6-3 and, in my opinion, almost in the rankings, whereas Oklahoma was in the playoff hunt and now they're out of it as they have lost their last 2 games. So this game is interesting to me as it's another upset alert possibly. The key to West Virginia's success recently has been their offense, which has exploded recently, led by Garrett Green being an amazing dual threat quarterback, as well as their leading rusher, CJ Donaldson Jr., who's had some good games this season. And a defense that's been off and on, but when it's on, it's played really well. Oklahoma, of course, has a pretty solid defense, and of course they have Dylan Gabriel, who's still in the Heisman talks. It's interesting. I definitely can see Oklahoma losing this game and possibly falling out the rankings. West Virginia, on the other hand, though, they haven't played many great teams on their last 2 wins. They played BYU and UCF, which aren't great wins, and the last good team they played, Oklahoma State, destroyed their defense. So, I don't know. I think West Virginia will definitely keep it close, though, but I don't think they'll win. I think Oklahoma will get their groove back, and they'll win this game 41-38. The next game I'm looking at is LSU versus Florida. Now, usually a game like this wouldn't be a top 10 game, but this is a rivalry game, and when they play, it's always a great game. Seems like, I know I said that when LSU played Auburn and they blew them out, but I definitely think this will be a different game. LSU's coming into the big question, is Jane Daniels playing? We still don't know as of the time of making this video, and that really adds a whole nother level to this game if he plays or not. If he plays, I think LSU will win. If he doesn't play, I think they can definitely still win, but it's a lot more questionable. But let's just say he does play. LSU, of course, has a monstrous offense with a four-headed beast with Jane Daniels, Logan Diggs at running back, and then Malik Neighbors and Brian Thompson at receivers. Florida doesn't have an offense that well-rounded, but Graham Mertz has had a great season for them as a transfer quarterback, and he's been a big reason why their offense has been so great, especially recently. Now Florida hasn't been able to close out these games, which is why they have a very disappointing 5-4 record. But I think we're gonna see a shootout again. Good offenses are LSU's kryptonite. LSU doesn't have a defense that can save their life, and I think Dane Daniels will play, and he's going to use every bit of strength he has to win this game because LSU's offense is amazing and their defense is terrible. So I expect a close game like this rivalry usually has, and with LSU's loaded offense, I expect them to win. As to me, I think the score will be 48-44. Again, I just don't think LSU's defense can hold any sort of competent offense. The next game takes us to the ACC as we have North Carolina versus Duke. This is a classic rivalry matchup, mainly in basketball, but it's typically a good game in football as well. Duke does not look like they're going to have Riley Leonard this game, and that's going to be bad for them, as without him it makes their offense really one-dimensional and easy to contain. However, they're playing against a pretty bad defense like North Carolina, so it's still definitely possible for them to score some points. Duke recently did just get a win against Wake Forest, which isn't a great win, but at least they got something going into this game. Same for North Carolina, as although the win wasn't very impressive last week, they did get a win to hopefully get back into the thick of things. These teams are both tied for third place in the ACC title game, so the slim chance they can both make the title game comes down to this game. I really do think, though, with no Riley Leonard for Duke, North Carolina is going to be able to score more points, and their defense is going to get some stops. That's going to really help them out to score some more points, especially with Drake May and Amore Hampton. I think it's just going to be too much for Duke to handle as the game goes on. So, to me, I think Duke can definitely hang on for a while, especially since they're not playing against a great defense, but I eventually think they will run out of gas, especially their run game. So to me, I think North Carolina will win this game 41-28. The next game I'm looking at is a Pac-12 matchup as we have Oregon versus USC. Now this game should have been a lot more interesting than how it is now. USC and Oregon was expected to be a top 10 matchup, and it's not. But I think it's still going to be a great game as these teams both have amazing offenses. However, the difference is USC's defense is awful, while Oregon surprisingly has one of the better defenses in the country. And then their offense is, of course, loaded. Bo Nix is a Heisman front runner in my opinion. Not the front runner, but he's definitely a finalist as of right now. And then Troy Franklin and Bucky Irving to round out their already loaded offense. Just really good all around for Oregon. And then for USC, of course, they have Caleb Williams and Taj Washington. So a really good offense for them as well. But I think it comes down to just Oregon's defense making a few key plays, a turnover maybe, or force some punts, and that's where Oregon pulls away. I think even though USC got a new defensive coordinator, it's not going to help against Oregon's offense. Caleb Williams will play amazing again in my opinion, but it just won't be enough. As to me, Oregon will win. Trying to think, man. How many points will Oregon score? I say Oregon will win 49-42. And the last game I'm looking at is Georgia versus Ole Miss, where College Game Day is heading to. This game is interesting as a win here will clinch Georgia their SEC East spot. And if Ole Miss wins this game, their slim shots of making the SEC championship game out the West is possible. Slim, but possible with a win. Georgia is coming off a big win against a top 15 Missouri team, while Ole Miss struggled against A&M, who's all right team, but not as good as Missouri. So it's definitely weird looking at this game. Ole Miss does get a huge advantage with no Brock Bowers playing, but Georgia proved that they definitely don't need him to win football games, especially against good teams, as they just beat a ranked team last week. Georgia, again, has an amazing defense, and their offense is pretty good, mainly led by Carson Beck, who is seemingly improved every week. Ole Miss's offense is, of course, pretty good. Not as good as last year, but still a really good offense, led by Jackson Dart and Quinshon Judkins. And their defense has definitely improved from last year, but it's not on Georgia's level. And with Georgia at Samford, which is probably the hardest place to play right now, I don't know exactly how much Ole Miss is going to do. So I feel like Georgia is going to win this game, improve to 10-0, and clinch their SEC West East spot, as to me, Georgia will win this game 31-21. And that wraps up the predictions. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. Like I said, I wasn't going to miss another prediction video, so here it is. I'm ready for college football. I'm ready for this Saturday and even Friday and just all the games we have. Just with the action, there's games every week, so it feels great. But hope you enjoyed the video. Like, favorite, and subscribe if you had, and I'll be back Tuesday for a recap.